Just over 4 years ago, Nissan gave us a new Frontier for the first time in 17 years. If they do that again, the next Frontier will come out in 2038. Can't wait for that one. I'll be old and gray. But the Nissan Frontier has become the ethos, pathos, and everything else in between for being long-lasting, reliable, and durable, especially still using a naturally aspirated V6. On this channel, we have taken a look at a number of mid-sized pickup trucks. The Chevrolet Colorado, Ford Ranger most recently, and now I want to come back to the Nissan Frontier. I want to see how this compares to some of the newer rivals in this market, the newer generations, and to see if you're someone looking for an old school pickup truck that still gives you the durability, also the engagement of what these trucks should be all about, then maybe taking a look at the Nissan Frontier PRO-4X might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Nissan of Merrimack Valley here in Chelmsford, Massachusetts for letting come down here to check out the Nissan Frontier. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Nissan inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For the Nissan Frontier PRO-4X we have today, you're looking at a starting cost of just under $42,000. Pricing is going to be key here. It starts so low, relatively speaking, for an off-road worthy pickup and off-road tuned from the factory. Now, it looks like a pickup truck that can take on the Ford Ranger Raptor, but keep in mind with that Raptor, there's a $14,000 price delta here, especially on the lower end. If you go with a well-equipped Frontier PRO-4X, you can get it up to 50 grand, but you're still not getting a pickup truck that can compete directly in a straight line speed or an off-road capability with that Ranger Raptor. Instead, the Frontier PRO-4X is more of a direct rival to a Chevrolet Colorado Trail Boss or maybe even a Toyota Tacoma TRD. And at $41,000 a start, this just might be one impeccable value here in this market. Now, as we take a look at the exterior for the Frontier, there is one minor change, and that is going to be the grille. Some of you might not even be able to notice the differences here for the PRO-4X, but I wanted to put that out there. Now, as you can tell, your organ has a lot of cladding, both for the front fascia and the side profile with the aggressive fender flares in that cladding to take on the abuse, the debris, and the off-road, and you will have steps to get into the cab of your pickup truck. But one feature I do like, which is very minor, especially now in the 2020s, but not so much in this segment, you are going to have LED headlights and fog lights. Now, that is not available on the Chevrolet Colorado Trail Boss, which I was very critical of because, again, it's the 2020s. You should have LED lighting, and that just wasn't the case with that particular model and trim. So better visibility at night or in adverse weather conditions. Up front, we have the cladding here for that grille. Personally, I would prefer gloss black trim or maybe even some color contrasting trim here, but I can kind of see the appeal when you are going off-road or taking on some winter road conditions. For the lower portion of the front bumper, you will have your skid plates here, and you will have two tow hook mounts in orange, so that way you can tow out that Chevrolet Colorado or maybe even that Toyota Tacoma TRD. Then as you make your way over to the side profile, by going with the PRO-4X, you are going to have 17-inch alloy wheels wrapped in all-terrain tires. And this is the big one though. Again, for a pickup truck coming in at $41,000, it can take on those elements. Better yet, though, with the PRO-4X, you get the Bilstein shock absorbers. And thankfully, with this off-road tuned suspension, you will have a ground clearance of 8.6 inches. Now, we're going to find out if road noise is going to be an issue here later on during the test drive, but I don't think that's going to be a problem since this is a body-on-frame pickup, and you already know that walking into this model. Now, you will have body color matched side mirror caps, but surprisingly, no LED turn signal indicators, but you will have blind spot detection for added safety. Got to talk about those steps to get into the pickup truck, just like I talked about earlier on. You have a number of different options here with Nissan, so a good amount of accessories. And making our way around to the back, the first thing I want to point out here is the PRO-4X badge, letting you know what model you chose. However, there is a lot to say here about the PRO-4X because you are going to be making some sacrifices by going with this model compared to a Tacoma or even a Colorado. So first off, you are going to have LED taillights. That is right. So LED lighting up front and for the rear. So refreshing to see because with that Chevrolet Colorado, that wasn't the case for the lower trims. Now you are going to have a tow hitch here that is part of an optional package. I'll talk about that in a minute. And we have a spray and bed liner. So let's talk about that capability. Let's talk about the payload capacity and towing capacity. Towing capacity comes in under 7,000 pounds. So that is less than a Tacoma, less than the Colorado, less than the Ford Ranger. Your payload capacity comes in below 1,300 pounds. So you are making sacrifices here. You are making concessions with the Nissan Frontier. I want to tell you guys that because this model has a lot going for it. Its pricing, its powertrain, but the capability might hold you back. But if you're someone okay with that, then I think at least design-wise for the exterior, we have one very good-looking pickup. But let's talk about that V6. Powering the Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. It's a beautiful sight, isn't it? It's going to be a 3.8-liter naturally aspirated V6, producing 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission. In a market where a lot of the competitors are dropping V6s for Turbo 4s, it's just a refreshing sight to see. It really, truly is. Now, power-wise, it is going to be a bit slower than the Toyota Tacoma. Now, the Turbo 4s are quite powerful. They are peppy. You got to give props to where it's due. But this V6, though, is likely going to be a bit more long-lasting, right? You want that longevity out of a work truck, out of a pickup truck, out of something you're going to be abusing on some winding back roads or off-road. That's what you're going to want here powering this pickup, and you have that. Now, we also have four-wheel drive for better year-end capability and versatility, and like we already talked about before with the ground clearance and the all-terrain tires, you'll be able to take on all those elements. Now, probably more importantly, or maybe actually not so important, is going to be that fuel economy, because I think everyone has already factored this into the equation here for a pickup truck quite like this. You're looking at right around 16 miles per gallon in the city and 20 miles per gallon on the highway. This is not going to be economical. It is not actually the best in this class, nowhere close to it. The Turbo 4 is just a bit more efficient, but hey, miles per gallon do come at a heavy cost, and I think it's actually worth it here. Hopping inside the Nissan Frontier Pro-4X we have today, we might as well just dive right into the packages that are equipped for this model, because as you can tell, we don't have cloth seats, and we had that spray-in bed liner, so something's up for this Pro-4X. So for $1,640, the Pro-4X convenience package, you're going to have a factory-applied spray-on bed liner, two 120-volt AC power outlets, one for the interior, one for the exterior in that bed, heated outside mirrors, LED under-rail bed lighting, Class 4 tow hitch receiver with 7-pin wiring harness, intelligent around-view monitor, so better camera systems, and a wireless phone charging pad. But the real big one here is going to be the $3,080 Pro Premium package, giving you the Fender Premium audio system with 10 speakers, including subwoofers, leather-appointed seats, auto-dimming rear-view mirror, Nissan door-to-door navigation with premium traffic sign recognition, and a power-sliding glass moonroof with tilt feature. And one thing I'm going to say here is this second package, the $3,080 package, is not worth it for one feature and one feature only, and it's these leather appointed seats. It is so hot in here. It's the middle of September. It's not that hot of a day out. It feels like the middle of July. I am boiling hot here, and these seats just absorb the heat. So I would say bypass this package. Save $3,000. Go with the convenience package. Don't go with this one. I thought it was a great idea featuring this model with these seats. Bad idea. Bad idea, because it's very hot in here. But I might as well talk about these seats though, because during the winter, they're actually going to be very plush and comfortable. So with the leather appointed seats, you're going to have a good amount of bolstering and support. The cushioning is great, and I think that on those longer drives, on those weekday commutes, you'll find yourself very relaxed and comfortable. That is a strong point, but they absorb heat, and that's the big problem. Now in front of you will be a heated leather-wrapped steering wheel. It feels really nice in the hands, aggressive 10-2 and firm 9-3 grip, so during those winter months, you can be nice and warm. Now also in front of you will be a small information display in between your analog gauges. And this right here is where some people might say that the Frontier is a bit archaic. Now from here you can adjust different layouts, you can check different information. This is more of a trimmed down version of what you are going to find out of higher models in the Nissan product line. That's fully digital and much more intuitive in that way. I think Nissan's doing a pretty good job with their technology. With the Frontier though, this does actually look very old. This was found in older Nissan Rogue products and older Infiniti products. So that is one takeaway here, but I think for some of you looking for an analog and tactile experience, this might be right up your alley. Now, as you take a look at the infotainment system, this is one change for 2025 heading into the 2026 model. You now get a 12-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. I think best of all, though, for this infotainment system is the fact you do have physical buttons. So you're going to have your quick access icons for your audio, your home button, your map, back, camera, it's all right here. So intuitive, easy to use, it's not going to be super in-depth. Although, with the Frontier, I do think it would benefit having Android-based software. I wouldn't typically say that for most rivals in this class, but having Google integration would be a huge step forward for the Frontier and would be on par with the Chevrolet Colorado and that Ford Ranger. Now, from here, when you do place the Frontier in reverse, you are going to have a rear backup camera with trajectory, also a top view as well. Again, part of that optional package, giving you better visibility and also safety when you are backing out of tight spots or parking on a city street. As you continue on beneath the head unit, you are going to have physical buttons and dials once again for your dual zone climate control up front, AC, front and rear defrosters, fan speed, and fan direction. Really great to see. Next to that, to your left will be your 2-wheel drive, 4 high, and 4 low. Then beneath your climate control settings will be another row of buttons for your 2-level heated seats, your heated steering wheel, your park assist features, then a USB-C and USB-A outlet. Beneath that will be a tray for a smartphone or other items, maybe like a wallet. Then you will have your traditional gear shifter here with 2 cup holders, not a lot of gloss black trim, like to see that. Then for the center console itself, you can have your wireless phone charging pad here within arm's reach and tucked away, so your phone should be nice and secure on those longer drives. For the center storage compartment, it is rather deep. I think you can try fitting a couple 17-ounce water bottles, which would be really huge for this pickup truck. And then to round out the front seating area, above will be that power moonroof, which brings in a lot of natural light to the interior. Now for passengers in the second row, we have had our fair share of experiences with the Frontier throughout the last few years, whether it was the PRO-4X back in 2021 or the SV. And unfortunately, in this class, legroom is not going to match up. Neither is the comfort. So legroom you're looking at right on 33 inches, which is a bit short compared to the Ford Ranger Raptor or just the Ford Ranger in general, Chevrolet Colorado, Toyota Tacoma. But it gets even worse so than the legroom. For me, it's the fact these seats are at a 90-degree angle. So I'm sitting like this, so my back is killing me, but then also I'm sitting in more of a ball here. This is not very comfortable at all. I would love to see Nissan address this for the next generation, because this is not going to be conducive for longer road trips or even just longer drives. If you have passengers in the second row, they're going to be very uncomfortable, even with the leather seats. So that is something to keep in mind here. That is the one weak spot for the Frontier for 2025 heading into 2026. Now, in regards to the amenities, you're looking at a USB-C and USB-A outlet, also a 3-pronged outlet as well. And you will have a center armrest with 2 cup holders. All right, so back behind the wheel of the Nissan Frontier PRO-4X for the first time in almost 4 years. A lot has changed in this market. New generations for the Ranger, Colorado, and Tacoma. A lot of manufacturers using turbocharged 4-cylinder engines. Back in late 2021, it was said that the Frontier was going to be the new benchmark for this class. Well, now in 2025, can the same be said? No, not really. However, we saw the V6, and that's beautiful. That's enough, right? The V6 is more than enough for a pickup in this class. Well, when you take a look at the towing capacity, payload capacity, it falls a bit short compared to some rivals that have turbo 4s. If you can live with that, I think you're going to like the Frontier. You're also going to have a pickup truck that I think feels, I don't want to say old school, but there is something different about the driving characteristics and the maneuverability and handling and the weighted steering out of this model that isn't found in the Colorado, that isn't found in the Tacoma, that is in a way refreshing, but then in some people's eyes might be seen as being outdated. And it's all going to come down to what your perspectives are in this class. With the all-terrain tires, you feel them, but I was expecting, because I've featured a number of pickup trucks in this class over the last year, I was expecting a more firmer ride, a harsher ride, less forgiving ride. And thankfully, this doesn't feel too far off of the newer pickup trucks in this class. The only thing I'm going to say here, though, for the model we have today, is that the steering input almost feels hydraulic compared to everyone else in this class. Whereas with the Frontier, you're putting some muscle and weight into the steering, which is very different than a lot of the models in this class, including the Ford Ranger Raptor. Also, in situations like this on a back road with some twists and bends, the larger steering wheel is definitely going to get in your way here. And I think that's also factoring into me having to throw some weight into that steering to get this pickup truck maneuvering the corners and able to really traverse what I'm experiencing here, even on some winding back roads. But I think it's going to be the V6 that will have you coming back for more, though. Because you're just not going to get that sound. You're not going to get that experience, especially a naturally aspirated V6. Because everyone's using Turbo 4s now. Now, also with the 9-speed automatic, I like the gear shifts. It's smooth. The powertrain is linear. And I think it's really all you could ask for. I personally don't like that 10-speed that's found in the Ford Ranger. I think there's just too many gears. Now, you could say the same here with the 9-speed compared to the Chevrolet Colorado with that 8-speed automatic. But I don't feel like this transmission is getting in my way in any way, shape, or form. So the final verdict here with the Nissan Frontier for 2025, and really for the 2026 model, is that this is going to be a pickup truck for a specific type of buyer. That you want that V6, you want that old school driving experience, and you're going to have that here with the Frontier. For those of you looking for more of a tech-filled experience, you want a modern day pickup truck, that's where you're probably going to be looking elsewhere. But for me though, with the lower towing and payload capacity, with the V6, I can live with the compromises. I can completely live with it. And that's where I think the Nissan Frontier still to this day has a place in this market. And like I said probably numerous times so far throughout this review, it's refreshing to have these qualities that's really no longer found in this class, especially at around $50,000 for the model we have today. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the Nissan Frontier Pro 4X. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time.